Hi again, everyone. I'm Ollie Matthews. This is the Narcissistic Resistance, and this resistance video is sponsored by contribution from Denise. And here's her story. Hi, Ollie. I finally got some money and am able to donate to your amazingly helpful channel. Sorry, it's not a lot. I'm one of those you can rest assured if I ever win the lottery. I do play. I'm going to give you a big chunk to you and Charlene. I never even met you, but you're more of a brother than any of my three golden child brothers ever were. You're a good person, you listen, and you help. You understand. I like to share with you and your subscribers the second video I ever made of me exposing my narc ex-mother. After watching a YouTube video of one survivor lady telling the world what her own narc mom did to her regarding mistreatment in a medical emergency, and after hearing how your own fuck clown of epic drunkenness almost killed you while ignoring your own medical emergency, I went to bed only to awaken with a start in the middle of the night with a horrific flashback, a suppressed memory that came flooding back to me. And what Denise is talking about is a video I did a long time ago, is how drunk he almost killed me. And it was when I was 18. I came down with mono. She wouldn't take me to the doctor for a couple days, and it got so bad that my throat closed. It's part of the reason why my voice was never the same after that. Never. I turned the video on and recorded that instant. It was made a year ago. As you'll see, I was the equivalent of shell-shocked and looking like I'm haunted by a narc ghost as I recall this terrifying incident. Since then, and with the wonderful assistance, advice, and insight you and your viewers share, I've healed a lot. No contact is the only answer to do then. Like the aftermath of a tsunami, we proceed onwards to take steps to mop up after the narc wreckage, damage control and rebuilding through powerful knowledge, validation, and seizing that what was always rightly ours to enjoy, a safe, calm, narc-free life with peace and happiness. This is video, audio, and I'm sure you'll have some wisdom to impact, insight, and commentary. Sincerely, Denise. And this is Denise the painter for anybody who's wondering. So here we go.
Morning, YouTube. Denise LaFrance the painter here. It's Monday, and just saw a new channel with the lady Michelle. It's called Michelle Breaking the Chain to her station. And she was, in one video I just saw, reiterating a time when her narc mother ignored an ear infection after having rushed the golden child brother to the doctor when he had an ear infection just a week or so previous. She had one, was accused of being a drama queen and making the whole thing up for attention. When the daughter woke her up mother up to take her to the doctor, sent her back to bed, and sent her to school the next day. And not until her eardrum ruptured and the blood poured out was the mother called, and then the mother takes her to the hospital because there's witnesses now, huh? And yeah, ruptured eardrum from an ear infection. And now the poor lady, all these years later, now she's deaf in one ear, partially deaf, because of her mother's incompetence and sadism and disregard for her appointed family scapegoat.
Or her mother hit her in the ear and her eardrum swelled and it popped. But I don't know that story. That's somebody else's to tell.
And these instances of narcs disregarding the health issues of the scapegoat versus how they treat the golden children reminds me of something that happened to me. So here's my second video telling some of my narc infestation history of abuse. It was 1977, and I was 12 years old. And I had severe pains in my abdomen, really bad pains on the right side. And I was told, stop your bellyache, make complaining. Probably something you ate, blah, blah, blah. And it got so bad, finally, she takes me to the doctor, and I'm rushed into emergency, and turns out my appendix ruptured. And they did an appendectomy of the ruptured appendix. And I spent the time in the hospital, okay? Then I was sent home. And the next day, I did what is a bad habit of mine. I try not to do it, but every now and then, I'll hold in a sneeze. Have you ever done that? Like that. That pressure is internalized. I don't know why, but sometimes I do it. One morning I did it. That morning after I come home, after the hospital stay. And I felt quite a bit of something going on in there. A pain. A weird, sharp pain that was increasing as the day progressed. I was home. My mother went to work. Worked at Walker's Van and Storage on the highway. And I kept calling her at work. It's bad. It's bad. You know, I'll be home at dinner time. Just lay down. Put some ice on it. Take an aspirin. Anyways, dinner time comes around.
Take an aspirin for an internal possible that you bleed out. It's the last thing you do is take an aspirin.
It's just now. It's turned into a generalized, non-stop, dull pain. It's not as sharp as it was before. And I'm in my long nightgown, walking around the house all day like that. I'm home from school. And after dinner, she receives a phone call. My golden child brother Richard's on the phone from university. And she's chatting with him, And I go to the bathroom, go to take a piss, right? Lift my nightgown up, and I scream because what I see is the abdomen is not flat like it should be. It's going out in the shape like a volcano, okay? Like, almost like this, rather than not like this, okay? Sideways view. The gauze taped over the incision is now sticking out at the end of the volcano shape, and all around it is black and then radiating out blue and red, and I am freaking screaming, run to the kitchen, lift my nightgown, show my mother, She'd call me Denise. I'm long distance with Richard at university. I am talking to Richard. Will you go? Go. Get away. She commences the conversation as I'm sent traumatized away, sitting on my bed, freaking. It was around dinner time.
It's that hopeless moment, right? That you realize they don't give a shit, and you could die, and and there's nothing you can do about it. That these people will let me die and laugh about it.
Eventually comes in and looks, oh, great. Now I gotta shovel the drive. She shovels the drive, because it's winter and we're way up north, takes the Volvo, puts me in this Volvo. She doesn't call emergency, doesn't call an ambulance. Gets me dressed, puts me in the Volvo. I'm laying in the back seat, bumpity bump down the back road. This is an isolated town in the middle of nowhere, dead of winter, really cold, and bumpity bump down the road to the hospital. And I'm brought in and seen to, of course, immediately by one Dr. Park.
So let me explain what happened up until here, based on what I know. Denise sent me a follow-up email wanting me to know that the road was unpaved, and that the Volvo wasn't even their good car. It was like a beat down. It was a hoopty, basically to get around, but not their main car. So they didn't call the ambulance because that costs money. Okay? You weren't worth them paying for the ambulance. The ambulance would have come. They would have dug you out. They would have taken care of you, and they would have gotten you in and out. So you weren't worth enough for them to be paid for that. And you certainly weren't. Your life wasn't worth enough to possibly wreck the good car. I mean, your life wasn't even worthy enough to end a long-distance phone call. When you realize there is no value on your life, and these people can just let you die if they feel like it. It's completely up to them.
And later discover, well, according to the narc, which is probably true, because I heard her telling my father, overheard her, she could smell booze on his breath. At any rate, he was alone there, the only guy there was no nurse, no nothing in there. For some reason, she's in the emergency operating room. She's in there with me. Like, that's not even right. That's incorrect to do. Whatever. I'm laying down. She is holding my head down. I'm laying flat. I'm laying down. There's my feet. Here's my head. She's standing here. She's holding my head for him.
She doesn't want to leave you alone with any medical staff. She wants to control your head so you always see her, so you won't tell them what's really going on.
Because I'm freaking out. Because he's put a needle in there, yes, to freeze the area. And he's cutting me, but it hasn't frozen. I can feel it, and I'm screaming. She's holding my screaming head down, telling me, stop it. Just stop it. Behave. Behave yourself. You're bothering the doctor. And I guess at some point, either because I'm sweating profusely from fucking being operated on while awake, yes, or she's just for fun, does it on purpose, I don't know. But at some point, she let my head go. Or maybe she couldn't hold it because I'm so strongly trying to get it up. Freaking. And I see my guts. I see my guts. I see my incised guts. He's got this scissor clamp with the gauze, and he's soaking up blood, and there's blood, and there's my, and this, and he's got an instrument, and he's making all new holes, and then with the black thread, and then he sends me home. Directly after that, and I remember shaking. They had a wheelchair to bring me out to the car, shaking, and she was mad that he wouldn't even lend us an ice pack. I remember her saying that when she was telling Dad, wouldn't even lend us an ice pack. Apparently, from my holding my sneeze in, I had ruptured the interior cat gut stitches. That's what she said, cat gut. She must be allergic to cat gut. And I was bleeding. Essentially, I was bleeding internally. And he does that, and I see that, and the whole thing's ridiculous. The scar's a mess. The initial scar to take, I can't just blame him. The doctor who first operated on me did a vertical scar. Who does a vertical scar for an appendectomy? It's to the right. It's usually a horizontal scar on the right-hand side where the appendix is.
Well, you got two problems, okay? Obviously, you're narcissistic family that don't give a shit about you and shitty Canadian healthcare. Honestly, that would not happen in the It wouldn't happen in the United States. It just wouldn't. Maybe now it would, but not then.
Almost directly under my belly button, there's a vertical scar, and I'll take a picture of it if you need proof. It's a horrendous, messy scar shaped like a sideways canoe with like these, you can see, it's a horrible thing. By this doctor, incompetent boob, and whoever did the initial scar, he just reoperated and made a big hacking mess, I might add. It's about this wide, and it's like this long, and it's a mess. And she let that happen. She let that happen. And she didn't take me in an ambulance. She drove. I think coming back, I was brought back in an ambulance from the hospital. I don't remember. It's all a blur. I remember shaking and feeling like I was cold. That's called going into shock. And that happened at the hands of a narc. Yeah, true story. If that was my brother, she would have rushed, and there would have been an appendix, and she would have been, an ambulance, and she would have been freaking out. But it was me, and I was to shut the fuck up while she's on the phone, long distance to Richard. And let the thing burst in the first place. Why we're enraged. A big part of it is because if this had happened to a stranger, people would be in jail. And this narc idiot should have sued the doctor. Didn't want to make a fuss. So many things she didn't want to make a fuss about. This is one of many, Don't want to, what are the neighbors going to think? Part of the problem is they deserve to be punished. They should be in prison. And the subsequent homicidal rage they inspire in us, I swear. It's hard to keep a lid on that. They inspire that. Get over it. Forgive. Water under the bridge. Move on. My golden child brother told me that. By the way. Yeah, that really helps. That really helps. Thanks, Narc, and your incompetent doctor friend.
That is a nasty scar. And that is the end and that is the end result of being treated as completely valueless. Because not only is the end of the story just prove what I was saying in the lead up, where you're completely valueless. Okay, as you're sitting there being tortured by this doctor, being held down, that wouldn't have happened to your brother either. Your mother wouldn't have let him scream like that, ever. So I don't know how it worked up there. I really don't. With the hospital, but who knows? Your mother may have denied you. May have denied you pain medication in that hospital. Just because you're not worth it. You're not worth it. You're not worth the money. You're not worth it. You weren't worth an ambulance. You weren't worth a ride in the good car. You weren't even worth her hanging up the phone because she was long distance. And that's the moment you realize you are absolutely valueless to them. Your life has no value. That's terrifying. Especially as a kid. You realize you could be, they could just kill you, you could die and they don't care. It is meaningless. There wouldn't even be a second thought about it. That's where your homicidal rage comes from. Try gaslighting a person who's been through that. Try it. Try it now. I would love my brother to be face to face with me and try to gaslight. He wouldn't. He knows it's gone too far. He knows it. One of his friends basically told me everything I said about him is right. Everything. And I know you live in absolute terror, Michael, that you're gonna look up. And I'm gonna be outside that food truck one day. Don't worry. Don't you worry. Just don't gaslight us. Don't gaslight us. That's what brings out that rage, because growing up like you're just absolutely treated like you are absolutely valueless when you could die, and moments where you could die, that's when they really show you mean nothing. So thank you for another contribution and story, Denise. I really appreciate it. I hope this helps. Thank you to everybody watching. Please leave any opinions or advice in the comment section below. And again, if you want your story read on the channel, you have a topic you'd like me to cover, a narcissist you'd like to expose, you'd like to set up Skype, a phone call, have a private video made, or a Facebook chat, or you'd like to sponsor a video just like this for someone who needs help and can't afford it, or just sponsor the channel in general, see it grow, pay the bills, keep it going, because that's always great. You know what to do with the PayPal and email links in the description box. And if you're still unclear, wait for the instructional video link to pop up on the screen at the end of this video to walk you through all of that. And if you're not seeing it, make sure your pop-up blocker is not on. Please like and share this video wherever you can. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't. And be sure to click the subscription bell to be notified of all my video uploads. I'm Ollie Matthews. This has been the Narcissistic Resistance.